someone we've been seeing a lot on YouTube lately is Ben Shapiro. And you guys know I've been getting into this whole woke agenda type of content, this whole kind of, how can I say, I would almost label it as toxic feminism, so to speak. We always talk about toxic masculinity. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot. But why not talk about toxic feminism? And this is what I like to call it. Now, today's video is titled Ben Shapiro debunks every feminist talking points in 9 minutes. We've watched a video with Piers Morgan. We've watched a few others debunk a few of these, so to speak, I don't know what to call them. It's not a nice word really. YouTube is not going to allow me to use the correct word. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you go and join the free Discord community, which is linked down below. This is an awesome way you can get to know the rest of the community members, myself included. I am active on there daily, so I will be interacting with you on there, and this is just a great way to build a like-minded community of people that get to better themselves in every aspect, because this is truly what the channel is about. So if you're new, make sure you join the family. Let's get to it.
I think that women who voted for Hillary, women who have strongly supported the feminist movement and supported the left, are feeling disenfranchised given the current climate of sexual brutality and oppression brought to light in Hollywood recently?
No, I think they're just going to blame the same people they always blame, because we're all in our own little bubbles. Should they feel disenfranchised? 100%. Yeah. Because in a society that treats sex as transactional, in a society that basically reduces sex to any sort, just a physical transaction that is based solely on consent, it makes it very difficult to explain why it is that the casting couch in Hollywood is bad per se.
Yeah.
Right. There's actually, like, feminist theory says that it's bad because of power imbalances, but the sort of libertarian culture of the left suggests that power imbalance doesn't have anything to do with it. If I feel like trading my body for a part in a movie,
you can't do it,
well, that's my business.
Because it's otherwise you'll be taking away the freedom that I have the right to, yada yada. We know.
Doesn't have anything to do with it. If I feel like trading my body for a part in a movie, well, that's my business.
Yes.
And if you say differently, then you're slut shaming me. Right. So that's, well, you can't really have it both ways. Either it's bad or it's not bad. And if we are going to fight sexual harassment and sexual assault, it seems to me that we have to do a couple of things. One, we have to reinvest sex with value beyond just a physical transaction.
Yes.
It's not just two people who are getting each other's...
There has to be intrinsic value. There has to be... what he's saying is it's true what he's saying. He's turned into something that's completely transactional, right? There's no more emotion behind it. There's no intrinsic value behind that particular transaction. It's purely physical. That's all that it is.
Action. It's not just two people who are getting each other's rocks off. It actually means something beyond that. There's a relationship that's attached to it. And beyond that, I think that we need to re-inculcate in men themselves, not just the teach men not to rape routine. One of the things that's happened is that traditional masculinity, the idea that it is a man's job to protect women. This is one of our jobs as human beings, as men, to protect women. The feminist movement doesn't like that. Well, then you can't blame us for not protecting women if you don't want us to protect women.
Finally, someone said it. You can't have your cake and eat it. You can't have that piece of toast buttered on both sides. Well, you can, but why would you want to do that? Anyway, what he's saying is people are quick to shame the traditional roles of men as protectors and providers, but they're very, very quick to almost discredit us when we talk about protecting women. They're very quick to say that we don't do our actual jobs. They're very quick to say that we are women, we're independent, we don't need protection. But at the same time, right, so it's like I said, it's always going to be a hard argument going forward. It is currently, and it's still going to be a hard argument going forward.
For not protecting women if you don't want us to protect women. Like, I want to protect women. I think men should protect women. I think one of the reasons God put man on earth is to protect women. Okay, well, then it is incumbent on me to protect women. But if you're telling me that I can't even open a door for a woman because this is somehow an offense to her honor, and that if I say that it's man's job to protect women, that this is somehow reinforcing gender stereotypes, then don't come whining to me when bad stuff happens.
Correct.
First thing that I hate today is this insane piece by some crazy person named Jodi Allard. She's apparently a feminist blogger. First of all feminist bloggers are, I don't mean to generalize, but they're all crazy. So she actually...
Well, I don't know about crazy, Ben. I don't know if you can use that word, but let's say extreme.
Has a piece today called... The title of it is, I'm done pretending men are safe, even my sons.
Damn.
Really. And the entire thing is about how her sons are potential rapists. She says, I have 2 sons. They're strong and compassionate. The kind of boys other parents are glad to meet when their daughters bring them home for dinner.
Yeah.
They're good boys in the ways good boys are, but they are not safe boys. I'm starting to believe there's no such thing. She is talking about her own children being potential rapists.
So you don't trust your own children. You don't trust your own two sons who you've raised personally with the correct, hopefully, moral values. I mean, listen, a person's going to turn out how he's going to turn out at the end of the day, with whether he has good parenting or bad parenting. But good parenting, it gives him that much higher of a chance to turn out a decent person. Let's be completely honest with each other here. Not a guarantee, but at least gives him a high chance.
Rapists because of rape culture. I have a general recommendation. If you believe that all men or all women are crazy, that everybody's terrible, maybe it's just you. Maybe it's just you. If every relationship you've ever had has gone bad, maybe it's not because all the people you know are terrible. Maybe you suck as a human.
Take a look in the mirror. Take a look in the mirror.
Okay, and I'm going to go with that on this one. It's just, my sons won't rape unconscious women behind a dumpster, and neither will most of the progressive men I know. But what all of these men share in common, even my sons, is a relentless questioning and disbelief of the female experience. I didn't realize the common female experience was to be raped while unconscious behind.
Yeah, I didn't know that was the quote-unquote female experience. We weren't taking it to that level.
A dumpster. I know a few females, and I don't know any of them who've been raped while unconscious behind a dumpster, at least none who have told me about it. And if they did tell me about that, I would say, can we find the person and hunt them down?
Yes.
Like, that would be my first reaction. Can we tell the police? And if not, is there a way that we can kill this person and get away with it? Like, that seems like the best possible. Like, is that not feminist enough? Do I have to do more than that? So I do not want to prove my pain or provide enough evidence to convince anyone that my trauma is merited. Okay, if you accuse someone of rape, you might have to provide evidence of actual rape.
Exactly.
You shouldn't just be able to accuse anyone of any.
And you know what? The scary thing is it's very easy to, I would say, fake it these days, right? With social media and with men not having that much power anymore. Let's be honest. It's changed. The dynamic has changed. The balance has changed. If you accuse a man of something right now, chances are that he's going to be in deep shit. But at the same time, you still got to provide that sort of evidence. Because without that evidence, yeah, sure, you're ruining his reputation, of course. Because he's always going to be brandished as something he's not. But, like I said, for that to really be fruitful, for that to really work out for you, where's the evidence? Because without the evidence, there's no case, right?
To accuse anyone of any crime, totally insane. Totally insane. Yeah. Child Protective Services needs to show up, like, right now at this lady's door. Thank God, it sounds like her sons are getting old enough that they get to leave home. Leave now. Leave now, okay? I will try to find a way to put you up in your own apartment. Seriously. Yeah. So what you actually wrote is you wrote that Gorsuch, like Antonin Scalia, is a proponent of originalism, which means he believes a judge should attempt to interpret the words of the Constitution as they...
I've watched a few clips of Ben Shapiro, and I must say that the guy is very clued up when it comes to these type of things. He's very... I like the way he speaks. He's very articulate in the way he makes his arguments. Very direct, to the point. He doesn't beat around the bush. Absolutely love it.
Originalism, which means he believes a judge should attempt to interpret the words of the Constitution as they were understood at the time they were written. When the Constitution was written, women couldn't own property. In 1787, women didn't have the right to vote. It would be 133 years before women won that fight, a fight they fought for 72 years. Considering women had no rights when the Constitution was written and there was no mention of women in the Constitution, originalism is sexist. So let me ask you first to expand on that. Is it the Constitution that's sexist or originalism that's sexist, or both?
It seems that when it comes to women's rights, originalist perspective tends to side on the air of always looking backward and not looking at current day.
Because they're trying to, because if you're looking, if I wrote a piece of legislation 10 years ago and I said to you, okay, you and I write a piece of legislation today, right? And we use the language of today. We mean something by that language. In this conversation, somebody will read this 100 years from now, and we will have meant what we're saying to each other. We understand what we're saying. Yeah. If somebody wants to read what we're talking about today, and then it turns out that all the words that we're using now mean the reverse because things have changed, did our conversation mean the reverse of what it meant, or does it mean what we're talking about right now? Words have meaning at the time they are said.
Correct.
And to try and...
And I personally don't believe... When words are said, you've had that conversation, that meaning can't change. You can't go back and rewrite the conversation, can you?
Read new meanings into old words just because, quote-unquote, times have changed. You can end up with some really bizarre results. I mean, and the problem here is that, you know, you may not like what Neil Gorsuch is trying to do, but at least it's a rule of interpretation.
She's flabbergasted. Look at... She's flabbergasted. She doesn't know how to respond.
Constitutional structure, what we've had is the Supreme Court very often reversing itself on the exact same language by using the sort of rules that you want. So, for example, in Plessy versus Ferguson, you had the Supreme Court say that the 14th Amendment did not apply to black people insofar as segregation was okay. And then 50 years after that, they say, no, it turns out the 14th Amendment actually meant that segregation is not okay anymore. that's silly. I mean, it either meant one or it meant the other. It didn't
Correct.
mean two different things at the same time. One of those decisions is wrong and one of those decisions is right.
Correct.
That's
And
true
my,
for...
my opinion is what it meant at the time is what it is, how it's supposed to be. The first meaning that was attributed to it, that meaning stays there. It can't change. You can't interpret it one way back then and then interpret it another way a few years later. That's going to cause so many complications. It's not even funny.
For every judicial decision, the idea that we can just look to our hearts to determine what a text meant 200 years ago is silly when we can find out what they meant 200 years ago by reading what they're talking about, no? How about the idea that if you're a woman, that you're at some sort of inherent disadvantage here in the United States? No, you're not.
You are at an advantage, believe it or not.
You're living in the freest, best place on earth in history for women at any time.
Thank you.
And how about the wage gap? This idea that women are somehow victims in the United States of this horrible discrimination, this glass ceiling that hovers over them at all.
Here's my argument. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to be put on blast probably. It is much easier. It is much easier right now for a young woman to make money than it is for a man. It's just true. It is what it is. It's because of, and we spoke about this earlier. It was a topic earlier. Almost the objectification of sex in a sense. It was just something that should be emotional. It should, or it's always going to be physical, but it should be emotional as well. It's been turned into a business transaction. So if you have that type of attitude and you can basically capitalize off of that fact, it's very easy for you as a young, semi-decent looking woman to make money. There are lots of ways. It's just the truth. It's the truth.
All times that only Hillary Clinton's face can break, right? The fact is that in 147 out of 150 of the biggest cities in the United States, women make 8% more than men if they are single and unmarried and have the same degrees. They earn more than men.
Yes. Well,
on the hit TV show Undercover Billionaire.
On that ad break notes, we're going to end the video right there. But listen, it is what it is. This is what I said. People are overcomplicating things. People are coming up with all these terms, coming up with all these arguments, making life a lot more difficult, and it's already difficult for everyone out there. Right? So it's just, if you have this certain moral compass that you have been living by, continue to live by it, irrespective of how the times change. Stay true to who you are, stay true to who you've been, stay true to who you want to become in the future. If you are new to the channel and you enjoyed this, please leave your recommendations down below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.